It was early 1945. The days of Japanese conquest in the Pacific were long behind them, and Allied forces were steadily advancing across the entire theater. For 2 years, U.S. Admiral Chester Nimitz's island-hopping strategy had propelled American forces ever closer to the Japanese homeland. The plan was deliberate. Only islands of strategic significance were to be seized, while others were bypassed entirely. By November 1943, American troops had captured Tarawa. The campaign continued with the Marshall Islands in February 1944 and the Marianas in June. The costly landings on Peleliu in September 1944 revealed just how bloody island combat could become, foreshadowing the brutal engagements to come. U.S. commanders identified the tiny island of Iwo Jima as the next key target in the island-hopping campaign. Measuring just 7.2 kilometers in length and between 0.8 to 4 kilometers wide, it might appear inconsequential on the vast map of the Pacific. Yet its location, roughly halfway between Tokyo and U.S. air bases in the Marianas, made it strategically vital. Iwo Jima could serve as a support base for B-29 bombers, escort fighters, and search and rescue operations. Importantly, Iwo Jima was part of Tokyo Prefecture, sovereign Japanese soil. Capturing it promised not only strategic advantage but a severe psychological blow to the Japanese. The U.S. 5th Amphibious Corps, consisting of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th Marine Divisions, was tasked with seizing the island under Operation Detachment. Roughly 100,000 men and 700 ships were slated for the battle, expected to last 5 to 10 days. Defending the island were 21,000 Japanese troops from the 109th Infantry Division, commanded by Lieutenant General Tadamichi Kuribayashi. Kuribayashi, a meticulous and cunning strategist, had studied Peleliu closely. Rather than contesting the beaches directly or relying solely on banzai charges, he adopted a strategy of attrition. Marines would be allowed ashore, only to be ground down by 2 main defensive belts of hundreds of caves, tunnels, and camouflaged pillboxes. Each position was to be held to the last man. Kuribayashi famously instructed each soldier to kill at least 10 invading Marines. Preparatory bombardment of Iwo Jima began 3 days prior to D-Day, February 19th. This fell far short of the 10 days requested by 5th Amphibious Corps Commander Major General Harry Schmidt. As the first Marines landed on the 6 beaches at 9 a.m., initial Japanese resistance seemed light. Yet a 4.5-meter-high terrace of volcanic ash slowed their advance and blocked supporting LVTS. As bulldozers were brought in to clear a path, Kuribayashi's pre-sighted artillery opened fire, pounding the Marines and inflicting heavy casualties. Machine guns erupted from Mount Suribachi, a semi-active volcano and the island's highest point. The fiercest fire, however, came from a quarry at the far right of the landing zones, an area Major General Clifton Cates had feared even before the invasion. "If I knew the name of the man defending the extreme right of the right-hand squad of the right-hand company of the right-hand battalion," he said, "I'd recommend him for a medal before we even land." By 11 a.m., bulldozers had cleared paths from the beaches, allowing the Marines to threaten Airfield No. 1. Meanwhile, the 28th Marine Regiment moved to isolate Mount Suribachi, creating a tenuous blockade. Colonel Harry Liversedge reported moderate resistance, but extreme difficulty due to terrain. By early afternoon, fighting temporarily died down. Yet by the end of D-Day, only 1/3 of the day's objectives had been achieved. Airfield No. 1 was captured, but elsewhere, Japanese resistance was intensifying. In the east, Marines ground against the quarry, while the 28th maneuvered around the base of Suribachi, confronting 70 reinforced concrete emplacements. Kuribayashi worked tirelessly to strengthen morale, instructing his men to view their positions as graveyards, fight to the last, and inflict maximum damage on the enemy. On February 21st, D+2, Americans faced a new adversary: the weather. Torrential rain and wind closed the beaches, while kamikaze attacks sank a U.S. escort carrier offshore. In the west, flatter terrain allowed tanks to support progress, but the quarry exacted a heavy toll. One company of 240 Marines was reduced to only 18 fit for duty. By the end of the first 3 days, roughly 5,300 Marines had been killed or wounded. Reserves, the 3rd Marines, were committed ahead of schedule, but conditions worsened. Rain mixed with volcanic sand transformed the ground into sticky mud, fouling boots and weapons. Automatic weapons frequently jammed, reduced to single-shot fire. Despite these challenges, Marines pushed forward. The 28th began the final assault on Suribachi, while other units attacked Kuribayashi's main defensive belt. Iwo Jima had become a sprawling network of interconnected strongpoints, ranging from sniper nests hidden in rock crevices to massive reinforced blockhouses, seemingly impervious to heavy artillery. Japanese soldiers moved undetected through tunnels, launching sudden nighttime attacks that increased in frequency daily. In response, American forces fired illumination shells to keep the island constantly lit at night. The tunnels allowed the 800-man garrison atop Suribachi to retreat northward, avoiding casualties while the 28th prepared its final summit assault. On February 23rd, after light resistance, Marines raised 2 U.S. flags on Suribachi, creating one of the 20th century's most iconic photographs. Yet, capturing the mountain did not mean victory. The next day, U.S. forces assaulted Airfield No. 2. Mines and anti-tank guns prevented the use of armor, leaving infantrymen with grenades, flamethrowers, and small arms to lead the attack. Stubborn Japanese defenders in the north stalled progress, leaving significant gains mainly in the west. The 4th Marines cleared the quarry, but new fortified positions soon tested them again. By D+6, Marines in the east entered the Meat Grinder, a complex of defenses anchored at Hill 382, Turkey Knob, and the amphitheater. Defenders supported each other with machine guns, artillery, and dug-in tanks. Advances were measured in grueling 100-yard dashes, known as touchdowns. As the days progressed, casualties mounted. Many Marine units were led by inexperienced officers, and privates occasionally commanded assaults. By D+12, stalemate set in. Marines had suffered 3,000 dead and 13,000 wounded. Japanese losses totaled 14,000, leaving only 7,000 survivors. The Americans captured Nishi Ridge and Hill 362A, surrounding the amphitheater. Japanese snipers disguised as Marines and booby-trapped corpses complicated operations further. Fresh reinforcements arrived, but many lacked combat experience. Despite massive artillery bombardments, American advances remained painfully slow. By March 7th, a dawn assault without artillery support allowed the capture of Hill 362C. Japanese forces were pushed into Cushman's Pocket, a stubborn enclave that held until the final days. Kuribayashi's orders were sometimes ignored, and 1,500 Japanese soldiers launched a banzai charge from Tachiwa Point, decimated almost entirely by American fire. By D+35, the battle effectively ended. Marine casualties numbered approximately 23,000, including 6,800 dead. The Navy lost around 2,800 dead or wounded. Of the 21,000 Japanese defenders, 19,000 were killed. Only 216 surrendered, while up to 2,000 lingered in small groups until mopped up by American forces. Though Okinawa would later be costlier, Iwo Jima remained the deadliest single battle for the U.S. Marines and the only Pacific Campaign battle where American casualties outnumbered Japanese losses. Iwo Jima's legacy is complex. While some U.S. Army and Navy leaders questioned its practical value, the island provided immediate benefits, including emergency landings for 2,251 B-29's bombers, potentially saving 24,000 lives. What you've seen today is only the beginning. The battles ahead are darker, deeper, and filled with untold history. Subscribe now and be the first to uncover the secrets.